Good day. Hi, this is the Philip Koerper Show. I'm Philip Koerper. This is episode 66, November 12th, 2018. Got a fun show with you today. I want to talk a little bit about Veterans Day and the Donald going over to Europe. I want to mention a little bit about the Florida voting scandal. Unbelievable. A little bit of that's going on in Georgia. I want to mention Michelle Obama and then the mob coming up from Mexico. And then SNL did a good thing, mentioned something about Tucker Carlson and then Donald's tweets. And then some incredible leftism, snowflake kind of behavior going on at Emory University. Is funny. Then I touch on American Spectator article and leave you with a scripture from Matthew. So the Donald was awesome. Our Veterans Day is on the 11th of November because World War I ended on the 11th hour of the 11th month of the 11th day of 1918. And so the Donald was there. This is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. The Donald was there. It gave a great little talk. It was great. It's so funny. They had some kind of peace meeting, a lot of the world leaders, and Donald came back for that. I mean, that was really bogus. When he was flying out there, Macron was going off about how he thought nationalism was the opposite of patriotism. Oh, the Donald let him have it via tweet immediately. So awesome. So it's great to be able to celebrate those veterans. Happy Veterans Day. So grateful for the veterans who serve and protect our country. I have an uncle who went to the Naval Academy. My father was a 2-star general aide in the Korean conflict or during that period of time. Other family members involved in the military. I'm very grateful for them. I was just reading about an ancestor that I had who immigrated from Germany. And at 30 years of age, Civil War, he fought for the Missouri Volunteers in the Civil War. I think his name was Schroeder. So very grateful for the men and women who served in the United States military. Thank you so much for ensuring our freedom and liberty. Very grateful. Feel a little guilty that I've never served in the military myself. So awesome service to our country and celebrating Veterans Day. And but we can't really let that go, okay? So we're going to give the Donald a hard time because he didn't go see a cemetery that he was going to go out to, fly out in his helicopter. The weather was really crummy in Paris, and he didn't go out there. So John Kerry laid into him and some other people and criticized the Donald. I mean, how petty is that? It's really super annoying. So touche to the Donald for not getting sucked into that. So this now Palm Beach County is saying that they're not going to have enough time to count all of these votes. Okay, so there's deadlines to voting and there's rules. So when you're counting ballots, they need to report within like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. They need to let us know how many votes they have, how many are not counted. They're supposed to do this. In Florida, Broward County and Palm Beach County have not been doing this. Marco Rubio has been really awesome in exposing some of the things that are going on in Florida. And now it's just becoming just a total he said, she said kind of yell and scream at each other kind of deal. So this is just really sad. And so now the Democrats are saying, oh, we want to count every vote. Oh, now we want to have a lawsuit because some of these people mailed in their ballots, but they're supposed to arrive like before Election Day. Oh, so now they want all of these ballots counted. I mean, we want every vote counted. This is so ridiculous. There are rules to elections. And if you abuse the rules, I mean, it's like changing the rules of a game in the middle of a game. It's not fair. So I don't think, from what I've read, I don't think any of these judges are going to accept this. And so the Democrats are going, let me be clear about what we're witnessing in Florida. The sitting governor is seeking to throw out lawful votes and seize the voting equipment in order to win an election. This is just false. And partly what's going on here is that you have deadlines. Okay, so these leftist counties have the potential just to make up votes out of thin air. So there are deadlines to protect the integrity of the election. Why are they getting so much time? So anyhow, this is really just ironic about what's going on. And it's frustrating. I do like how Marco Rubio is weighing in on this. And so anyhow, there was actually three really close elections. The governor, Rick Scott, is running for the Senate. And then that governor seat is being run by Ron DeSantis, who the Donald picked, against Andrew Gillum. And so Rick Scott beat a sitting Democrat Senator, Bill Nelson, initially, and Andrew Gillum lost to Ron DeSantis. And then there's a Secretary of Agriculture race that's really close. And so this lady in Broward County, the head official there, Snipes, what's her first name? I forgot. Brenda, I think. Brenda Snipes. So she's actually admitted they audited like 208. They audited like 205 legal ballots. Okay, and then they found out that 22. The Broward officials said they mistakenly counted 22 absentee ballots that they had been rejected, mostly because the signatures on the return envelope did not match the one on file. Okay, so now Broward County has admitted to making mistakes, mixing in the bad votes with the good votes, and they can't tell the difference between the two. This Snipes, Brenda Snipes, who has long been accused of mismanaging county elections, has been sanctioned by a judge for destroying ballots in 2016 congressional race, said it would be unfair to throw out all the ballots. Oh, this is crazy. Marco Rubio says, we know about these 22 illegal votes because they got caught breaking law in reviewing 202 ballots. How can anyone trust more illegal votes that aren't in their final count? So they've admitted to making mistakes. They admitted to mixing good votes with bad votes, and yet they want all the votes counted. I mean, this is just an embarrassment to no end. It's extremely embarrassing. The Democrats, I tell you, they blame us, that the Russians colluded, okay, with the Donald Trump. And I'm going to talk about this in an American Spectator article later. But, they just assume that they cheat on all of these things all the time. And they just assume we'll cheat too. Okay, we're not going to cheat. Okay, for the most part, we're not going to cheat. I want to mention Michelle Obama's book's out, and I guess there's nothing good in there, so they're just making up stuff to try to get attention to her book so she can sell more copies of her book. And she says that during the Trump's inauguration that she was stopped trying to smile because he's such a misogynist. Okay, she can't believe that any woman would vote for the Donald. She wrote in this book, the vibrant diversity of the two previous inaugurations was gone. Someone from Barack's administration might have said that the optics were bad, that what the public saw didn't reflect the president's reality or ideals. But in this case, maybe it did. Realizing it, I made my own optic adjustment. I stopped even trying to smile. Oh. Oh, but wait, Michelle, let me ask you a question. What did your husband do who used to be the president of the United States? Was he being Mr. Grumpy Pants like you? No, Barry was being really happy and a good sport. He was being a good sport. Cordial, happy, kind to Melania and Donald. So wait a minute, I'm confused, Michelle. So who's right and who's wrong? Morally here, okay? If the Donald is such a bad, evil, sinister, misogynist, evil man, racist, okay? Not only is he a misogynist, you're saying he's racist. There's no diversity up there. And so is he so bad? Why is your husband, Barry, being so nice to him? I just am confused. What is going on here? Oh, wow. This is really amazing. And in her memoir, it's called Becoming, Obama reportedly derides the so-called birther conspiracy as thinly veiled racism. Okay, there we go. The whole thing, quote, I'm quoting from her book, the whole thing was crazy and mean-spirited, of course. Its underlying bigotry and xenophobia hardly concealed, reads an excerpt. But it was also dangerous, deliberately meant to stir up the wingnuts and the kooks. Oh, wait, this gets worse. Listen to this. What if someone with an unstable mind loaded a gun and drove to Washington? What if that person went looking for our girls? Donald Trump, with his loud and reckless innuendos, was putting my family's safety at risk. And for this, I'd never forgive him. Oh, gal. I mean, you got to be kidding me. What about Ted Cruz? All right. Being born in Canada. Oh, man, we had a huge debate on that. What about John McCain when he was running for president? Okay. We were making he was born like down in Panama or like in some naval base. Okay. We were wondering if he made the qualifications to be United States president. What about Mitt Romney's father, George, when he ran for president? And he was born down in Mexico because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had to kind of get out of America because of the plural marriage deal. What in the world? Okay, this is a racist thing? Hello. Michelle, now I just want to, this thing just continues to go on. And I just want to mention one thing, okay? I just want to mention one little article from Snopes. Okay, Snopes is this fact-check organization. And the dirty little secret, actually, it's not a secret. Snopes is very left-leaning, okay? It's a left-leaning fact-check, okay? So I like to go here because if Snopes really agrees with something, this has huge credibility with the left, okay? Because they can't blame this on being some biased thing. And this is one thing I just want to mention that can sometimes add to this birther controversy. Okay, a 1991 literary client list promotional booklet identified Barack Obama as having been born in Kenya. Okay, so this came out in 1991. And this has got Barack Obama, okay, the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. The son of an American anthropologist and a Kenya finance minister, he attended Columbia University and worked as a financial journalist and editor for Business International Corporation. Okay, so here this is a literary client. It was a promotional book and put out, okay. So Andrew Bartby was never a birther, and Breitbart News is a site that has never advocated the narrative of birtherism. In fact, Andrew believed, as we do, that President Barack Obama was born in Honolulu. Okay, so all these disclaimers. But this is confusing that this booklet was put out, and there's no evidence here that Barry even said anything about this. Okay, so there are things like this. There are facts out here. Okay, this promotional booklet was put out, and this is something that I'm not quite sure Barry paid for. So anyhow, this is just a little bit confusing, okay? So people who go off and on this birther thing, and it's irrelevant now, okay? I've done a lot of research. It looks like Barry was born in Hawaii, but there's some confusion, and things like this add to the confusion, okay? So it's a little bit, there's some things are a little bit fuzzy about this. It's a little bit unclear, okay? Why does he have this promotional thing saying he was in Kenya? He's expunged all of his college records. Very suspicious. I think he probably pulled an Elizabeth Warren here, okay, in all fairness. Elizabeth Warren fakes this Native American ancestry so she could get into these prestigious colleges, so she could be a minority, so she could benefit from affirmative action. I think Barry probably did the same thing. Born and raised in Hawaii, and that's no big deal. Okay, but being born in Kenya, whoa, or Indonesia, oh, that's a big deal. Okay, you're going to get into Harvard with that, or Columbia. So who knows? I don't know what happened, but there's definitely some confusion. I can't help the caravan or this mob. They're like north of Mexico. They're Mexico City. They're piling into these vans and semis and things like this. And I couldn't help but notice this article in Fox News. LGBT members of the migrant caravan reached U.S. border. So they've already zoomed up to like Juarez. Say they're, wherever they came from, who knows. Say they endured verbal abuse by other migrants. Oh, they had verbal abuse. I mean, we all know that this trek is hazardous, that half the women get raped. I mean, this is just scary. But these people had verbal abuse. Yikes, look out. Now we got to worry about their rights. I want to lead in, that makes me want to lead into this article about Emory. Emory professor speaks out after being suspended for using N-word during a lecture on civil rights. So he uses the N-word during this civil rights thing, okay, civil rights lunch counter protest thing. The university says the N-word was not a part of the case he was teaching. Student leaders tell CBS 46 this incident is just a symptom of a deeper issue of respect. Law professor Paul Zweier has been taken out of the classroom after he used the word at the end of his class filled with his first-year students. This was like the first or second day of class for them. They were thrown off, said student Randy Williams. While there may be an explanation on the professor's side, it was still inappropriate, says Williams. Williams says he knows a professor and he reached out about the incident. This is a professor whom I have had interactions with. This is a professor whom I've seen be active with a lot of minority students. Then I become concerned, like, did I miss this? Did I have this professor judges all wrong, said Williams. So I reached out to the professor immediately. His email back to me was that he did say it, but it was in context of a case that he was talking about. According to him, he felt like he needed to explain more to the class and was going to do that the very next day. I mean, this is unbelievable. This goes on and on and on about the N-word. I mean, this is like Harry Potter. This is like, you know, Lord Voldemort, the word that shall not, he who shall not be named. I mean, this is just unbelievable. I mean, I've listened to some of the music my kids listen to, and the N-word is every other word. Okay, I mean, I am confused. I am confused. I've seen videos on YouTube, and they're using the N-word all the time. I listened to poetry on NPR the other day, and they did give me a trigger warning, but they used the N-word. Okay, no, but let me, you could probably guess that this professor is not African American. Okay, so this is just so crazy. I am just confused about this mock overreaction to different things. It's just this PC moment stuff. I mean, I think most Americans just are so tired of this. Let me give you an example. Dan Crenshaw. I mean, this was really amazing. Last week on SNL, Saturday Night Live, Pete Davidson did his skit and he mocked Ben Crenshaw. Ben Crenshaw is a candidate for the House of Representatives in Texas, I guess. and he has a patch over one of his eyes because he's a veteran, and it was an IUD attack, and he lost his right eye in combat, in war, where he was serving in Afghanistan, I believe, or Iraq. I think it was Afghanistan. And so Pete Davidson mocked this a week ago. Now, it is sad that SNL, I mean, they're always picking on the Republicans. I mean, these guys are all Democrats, they're all leftists, and they just pick on the Republicans. It's just the way it's going to go. Hollywood is left. So anyhow, did Dan Crenshaw get all offended? Did he ask for an apology? You know, I was thinking, does the Donald ever ask for apologies? No, I don't remember him ever asking for an apology. No, the Donald will just hit back and just moves on, okay? These apologies are stupid for issuing them or asking for them, in my opinion, unless you've done something really wrong, okay? Now, I think Pete Davidson, was just being stupid here and making fun of veterans, especially right in front of, before Veterans Day, was really dumb. But the coolest thing happened Saturday night. Pete Davidson apologized, truly apologized. And then he had Dan Crenshaw on there and poke fun of him. It was wonderful. And then Dan Crenshaw gave a really cool shout out to veterans. Oh, never forget. Just very awesome. Dan Crenshaw tweets, "Thanks for having me, NBC SNL. What an experience, and what a way to highlight the importance of honoring our vets, especially this weekend." Oh, this is so cool. I mean, I know Ben Shapiro was excited about this a lot. You know, the culture, we get into this battle. And I like to say politics is not personal. I mean, look how Michelle Obama was making politics so personal. Ad hominem attacks on Donald Trump. He's a misogynist. And she is now, Michelle is saying in her book that she doesn't understand how any woman could vote for Donald over Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's such a sexist. I mean, how shallow are the voters? Oh, you're just going to vote for the person you're the same gender of? I mean, it's really insulting. But I think Dan Crenshaw, he didn't get all offended by what Pete Davidson said. No, he didn't ask for an apology. He didn't go on and on. He just said, something like that, it could make some veterans feel bad. So anyhow, just really kudos to Pete Davidson for really, and Dan Crenshaw, really awesome. I really like that. Now let's talk about what's not so awesome. Tucker Carlson, he tweets out, "Last month, one of my children was attacked by a stranger at dinner. For her sake, I was hoping to keep this incident private. It's now being politicized by the left. Here's what happened." So someone on the left just said, "Tucker Carlson, we saw him at this country club and he was cussing. Now, when a conservative swears, it's like a big deal. But, Robert Francis O'Rourke can just use the F word in his campaign thing and it's no big deal." But anyhow, Tucker Carlson reports that in October, last month, he was having dinner at this country club. His daughter went to the restroom and was coming back, and someone walking through the bar to get back into the restaurant area, and someone goes, do you know that guy? And she's like, "Oh, that's my dad," and your Tucker Carlson's your dad. And then the guy just cusses her out and it's just really trash talks her. It's just awful. And then she's crying, and then her Tucker's son went over there and like threw wine in his face or something. And so anyhow, it was in Tucker. I mean, it's just awful. And so Tucker and his son stood up for his daughter. And later, that guy was kicked out of the country club. I mean, it's really stupid. This is the Maxine water pad kind of just, stuff about get in your face. And no one likes this. This is just ridiculous. What kind of progress are we making here? What kind of progress are we making that Antifa goes over to Tucker Carlson's house and pounds on the door and chants, "We know where you live," and just threatens him, leaves all their stupid signs in his yard. I mean, was going to spray paint the A symbol for anarchy on his driveway. I mean, it's just retarded. So anyhow, childish, retarded stuff. People should, not encourage any kind of that stupid behavior. So the Donald is on a tweet storm today. He's going off about the Florida election. He said the Florida election should be called in favor of Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis, and that large numbers of new ballots showed up out of nowhere, and many ballots are missing or forged. An honest vote count is no longer possible. Ballots massively infected must go with election night. So the Democrats are saying, we got to count every vote. Oh, you're just destroying these votes. And the Republicans are going, dude, we're following the rules here, okay? You can't just extend this out. Most of these new votes that they're just finding, they're all Democrat votes. I mean, we know what's going on here. So this is just really retarded. And we've got all these rules in place, so these things can't be abused. Anyhow, just really, really sad. So anyhow, the Donald goes on to talk about France and Europe. They're whining about the military there. Donald's getting tired of paying for the military to protect them. He wants free trade over there. So he's making his point. I love how the Donald uses Twitter to get his messages right out. I love it. So I wanted to highlight this dichotomy between Republicans and Democrats with the election. This is an article from the American Spectator by Dov Fisher, who I really enjoy. And he's talking about what the Florida count tells us about how Trump stole 2016 from Hillary. So he just totally makes fun of the Democrats because, see, they will cheat on elections. He makes the point that Richard Nixon in 1960 just barely lost at JFK. And he uses the example that there's evidence that Chicago and in Texas, Lyndon B. Johnson's Texas, they were just making up lots of votes for JFK until they had enough votes to push JFK over into victory. So this is just a really good point about how Democrats make all these excuses and cheat on these things, and then they just assume that we do also, that the Republicans will cheat too. I think he's really making a really good point. They're talking about Russian collusion, and yet, good grief. I mean, do we have any evidence that Russia really colluded? No, we've got evidence that people are cheating. So now we know in Florida that non-citizens had voted. Okay, this is the stuff we've been complaining about. Whenever we come up with voter ID laws, we say, well, these will just hurt minorities. Okay, which is ridiculous. I mean, what, minorities can never fly on an airplane? They can never buy a car? What? I mean, this is ridiculous. They can't charge gas. I mean, most Americans can do these things. And the Americans who don't have good credit and things can always get they have driver's licenses. And if they don't, they can get voter ID things for free. Government issued ID, totally. So anyhow, I think he's making a great point here. I want to close with great scripture in Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 6. There towards the bottom of the chapter, but verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow should take thought of the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe to the Philip Koerper Show on iTunes or SoundCloud, or watch the Philip Koerper Show on YouTube channel. This is Philip Koerper, copyright 2018. Have a great day.